Hey, Happy New Year, and we're ready to kick it off with a great guest.
Happy New Year. And so far, it's very happy. So it's working out really good. But yes, I'm so excited about today's guest, Sondae Esposito. And she's a phenomenal woman. And I want to let her talk about things. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of who Sondae Esposito is. She's a pioneering force in the security industry. She's founded and runs the women-owned security firm Elite Protection International, or EPI Security, and she established the For Rescue Foundation in 2023. That's just part of what she has accomplished. But with the I the she is a lead instructor for the International Executive Protection Team, and today still teaches self-defense and gun safety classes in her free time. Wow, free time. And she co-founded the Kingsman Philanthropic Corporation in 2020. Welcome, Sunday.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I also have founded myself the For Rescue Foundation in 2022, which has now gone. Obviously, we're now into our fourth year, and that is the foundation that I'm currently associated with, and the director of, and the founder of. And so it's going really well. I have a good team behind me, and the more support you get, the more opportunities that you get to save as many people as possible. So it's really important.
What tell us about For Rescue.
So for rescue, I founded after I had separated from the other nonprofit that we had created in 2020. I had a partner that we created it during COVID because um, part of what we do in the security industry with the company that I was a part of is out of our pockets, we would provide extractions and rescues for domestic violence and sex trafficking victims. And then during COVID, the anybody, if you looked into it at all, the domestic violence cases went up 400%. Um, and the calls went up and the need went up. And when you have victims that the only time that they get away from the person that is doing the abuse is whether they're in any type of school work, or the abuser goes to work, and when you're all locked up in the house, there's no escaping. And also you have a lot of children at that time where the only food that they were getting was at school when it was provided for them. So we had a lot of, like single moms, or, even ones that have partners that would not just reach out for help, but at being rescued, but also for help needing, can you keep my lights on? Can you give us some food? And it had gotten so much for me that I went to the owner of the security company and said, I really want to start a nonprofit. And you've been doing it a lot longer than I have, but we can't continue to put money out of our pocket. We're not going to be able to provide for our own family if we don't do something like that. So together we created the Kingsman Philanthropic Group. And so I was with them until 2022, 2023, and I decided to kind of branch out on my own. I wanted to focus more on things that was going on at home in the United States. We were doing a lot of stuff overseas, and also I wanted to really focus more on domestic violence. So stepping away from that gave me the opportunity to create a nonprofit uh, and make it focus more on the things that I felt were most important and closest to my heart, and what I had more of a passion to do. Of course, sex trafficking is a horrible thing, and we're open to helping that as well. But really, domestic violence is a serious, serious issue in the United States, and it's given me the opportunity to focus on the things that I really want to and make those decisions. And I have a great group that are on the board that believe in the same thing and support my vision. So I'm really blessed to have the people that work with me, whether it's every day or even the people that volunteer in their time when we're doing extraction. Um, really blessed. There is a lot of good people out there, that really want to help. It's just finding them, connecting with them, and using that opportunity to help as many as we can.
So, starting your nonprofit, what do you think the biggest
Mm.
challenges have been?
Um, so when you start off and you don't have any other connections and people can't find you, that's kind of some of the problem, right? The other is funding. So a lot of it, I spend my time for free. I take no money from my nonprofit. Whatever it is, I go speak on with other people's nonprofits for free. I pay that out of my pocket because it is a mission. And it's a passion for me. But outside of that, you got to pay people to run the organization, and funding for sometimes can cost up to 20 more than that $1,000 when we do certain cases of extractions for, victims and their children if they have them. It can get very expensive. So having the funds to be able to do that and help people, yeah, that's probably our biggest hurdle to get over. But I think that's with any nonprofit, right? Any
No, it
nonprofit.
totally is.
Yeah,
And once you can get over that hurdle, it's a great move because you really have built your community. You figured out what the mission and vision, and you have true growth that you're able to
right.
show. And it's much easier to get donors once you are able to do it. It's just like a business.
Yes, it is. Um, I'm gonna do it no matter what, though. This is just something that I'm extremely dedicated to. So I do spend a lot of my own money. But I also do what I can and I put myself out there to make as much money as I can so I can make those decisions, whether it's coming out of my pocket or whether we have the money to do it for through the nonprofit. And I'm very blessed. There are a lot of people out there that I've come in contact with that said, "Hey, if you ever need something," it's been anything from, "Hey, can you house this person for me for a little bit so we can get them transferred to another safe space." And I've been very blessed with a lot of people that once they know me and they know the nonprofit is a legit t- organization, there's so many people that are willing to help, even if they don't have the money. There's little things they can give us their mileage for airplane, right? They can give us like sometimes it's gift cards or whatever to whatever they can give. I'm very, very blessed that people really see the mission that we have, believe in it, and have been willing to help wherever they can.
I founded and ran a nonprofit many years ago for victims of domestic violence. And, the challenges I had was number one, people just, they don't understand domestic violence. So that was my one thing was get them educated, like, well, why are they staying with, why is she staying with them? And it's a little more complicated. It's just, you just don't get yourself upset and, storm
Mm-hmm.
out. I mean, there's a lot of things. It's like a lot of spider webs in there, but there are a lot of needs. And I just want to put out there that there are, and some women get in those situations. And, it's like, if not for the grace of God, go I, that need help. And especially when they have children or they're from another country, they don't have a license or they're pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of need. And sometimes people just need, a hand out, just to pull them up. So, congrats and kudos to you and what you're doing.
I appreciate that. It takes
It's a
more than just
lot.
me. It's a
It
lot
does.
more other organizations that I've come in contact with as well that are out there doing it. And I'm thankful for them and every little part that they play. Um, I'm grateful for all of us that are willing to take the time to do that because um, I always say that unfortunately the need is there a lot more
It
than
is.
the means that we have.
It
And
is.
you don't get to help as many people as you want to. And it's heartbreaking sometimes.
It
Sometimes
is.
not just because we don't have the people, the teams, the finances, but sometimes bad things happen before you can get to them. Sometimes they reach out. If you don't stay in contact within that 24-hour period and keep the conversation going, it's really sometimes really sad situations. And even when you have helped and been there, and stayed in contact. We've lost some, adults, and we've lost some children, and it's really, really heartbreaking, and it takes a toll on all of us for sure.
And
And
it's
then you
just,
hear
but it
that
has to
one.
feel great what you do.
Oh,
You
there's
do.
that reward, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you have someone say to you, because of you, I'm alive today.
Yes,
And
I've
they you
had that.
know, yeah,
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 I've
you
had
know
that,
that
and it is very heartwarming, and it makes it so much worth continuing to sacrifice. I've in the past I had to sacrifice time with my own kids, and when I first started doing this kind of work, they were still in middle school and high school, and to for have it kind of come for full circle and then be understanding and proud and under know now what the sacrifices were, and even my daughter being a part of it now and wanting to do more, it makes it even easier for me, right? It makes it worth it even more, for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, you also work with the sex trafficking
Hmm. Yeah.
as well.
So every case that comes, every person or somebody that's connected to the person or knows the person, every situation is different. There is this, it isn't a cookie cutter thing. Okay, this is what we do. This is what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. It could be somebody that's been kidnapped, that somebody's reached out and they're like, can you help us? Sometimes we get leads. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're running around in circle and just sending out as many feelers as we can to do as much as we can. Sometimes it doesn't end up the way that we want, and then there are those times where it does, and it's you have that victory, but you also have to then, for what I do in my nonprofit, we have to pass it off to others, right? We can't continue down the road with them because then we it takes away from doing what our foundation is based on, and that is having to enforce, unfortunately, you have to choose. You have to pick a lane and stay in that lane so that you can be as profitable as possible and as successful in those missions that you take on. And that means we only focus on the extraction part and getting them safety and give them as much information and contacts as we can for them to start over and heal. And then we have to release and move on to the next one.
I mean, choosing something like this, adding this to what you do, this is just a, this is such a horrible thing that's happening when we talk about, child sex trafficking and how large and how big of a conglomerate it is of people that are doing this as a
Yep.
business, as a criminal activity as well. Not just it's trafficked by people who just decided just to abduct the child and but then the trafficking, but then selling, and it's slavery. And
Hmm.
why aren't we bringing out this more to people? We don't see it a lot in the news or anything.
There's a lot you don't see though, unfortunately, and that's what I try to educate people on when I do speak with them because um, believe it or not, there's several government organizations that I've worked with and that I've spoken to personally, and they're out there and they're doing as much as they can. But again, it's a lot. There's so much more out there going on than we have the manpower to stop. It is a
It's
very, very sad world we live in. And, it's not just sex trafficking. When you look at it, they're like, oh, well, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yes. But then you have those that have nothing to do with that are just sick individuals that are doing this to people that they know, children that they know in their home. This isn't about money in those situations. It's a sick individual that needs to be dealt with.
and it's you know again,
And when I say dealt, I meant the legal way. Just want to clarify that.
well, we're in America, and it's the greatest country on this planet, and it's hard to believe that it goes on here, but it's going on in our own backyard, and people, it's hard to wrap your head around that, but it is true. And I think that was another thing when I was in that area as well and working against it. It's just you know it was just hard. Like, this really goes on in this country. Like, this is another country kind of a problem. No, it's our problem too. And
If you look at the whole Epstein case, like this thing has been around for a long time. and other the administration before the one that we have right now, they had a lot of opportunities and they didn't take it. And now there's a lot of pressure now, and a lot is coming out. But I don't think we're ever going to know the whole depths of it, let's be honest. We just have to do what we can to prevent it. And, molestation and domestic violence has gone on since you can remember. When I was little, it was happening. You just didn't talk about it in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, into the 90s. That's probably 2000s is when I really feel like it started being talked about. So for those of us that are, older, it was just stuff that we had to deal with and push past. But now we've educated and we've tried to teach our children what is right, what is not right, and let women that are in those domestic violence situations know you don't have to choose and stay there. You don't have to. There's a lot of people out there that want to help you.
And
Yeah.
why do they stay, you think, when they're victims of it?
Well, everybody, and I have helped a few men that are in domestic violence
Right. It's
situations.
true.
It does
Yeah.
happen with men as well. I want to make sure I clarify that.
Hmm.
It has happened, and we have helped them as well. Um, but again, everybody has their own reasons. Everybody has their own reasons. Sometimes it's for their kids. Sometimes it's because they have been um, brainwashed into thinking that they're not worth anything, that nobody's ever going to put up with them. This, anybody that is an abuser, majority of the time, they're a narcissist and severe controlling person, and they will beat them down. It's that the love bombing thing. That's a lot of what the groomers do, what abusers do. They do that. They make them feel safe. They get them up here and then they pull it out the rug underneath them and make them feel, like this, that they're not worth it. And you can be told that over and over again, and you start to believe it because you're in that environment. And when you get out of that environment, in an abusive or a controlling environment, you don't realize just exactly what it was until the fog lifts. Sometimes that can take around 6 months.
It's kind of like the frog, if you throw a frog in hot water, it's going to jump out. But if you turn up the heat, it'll boil to
It'll
death.
adjust to it.
That's right. And I
Hmm.
think, with a lot of abusers, low self-esteem. And when they start putting down their victim, it makes them feel better. It's like a drug. And then soon it's like, they have to have it is more intense and more frequently, that fix of, getting their self-esteem. So they put down their victim to make themselves feel better.
For sure.
Yeah. So,
And yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
well, I was going to talk about her EPI because I think, she's a kick butt kind of woman.
So my security company, I was with one prior to that. I started that I was hired back in 2016 as business development side of it, and then it just slowly, started. I started kind of pulled more and more towards the front and dealing more with the security on hand, physically myself, and went through the executive protection training level 1, level 2, and just really enjoyed doing it and wanted to be grow in that. And I did. And I was very fortunate enough to have the respect and the trust in the owner of the company to grow it. And so when the opportunity was there, I took full, I took advantage of that and grew it as much as I could nationally throughout the United States. And then we started working internationally, became the vice president of that company. And then it had grown so much that I was promoted, and a couple people that were hired. One person that was hired got investors and bought the company. So what are you going to do? They're not going to keep me. So I decided to start my own security company. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. When you're a woman in the industry, you're not their first pick. But I earned it. I proved to myself, and I have a really, really good. I'm very blessed with my company that I have, and I have no complaints. We do every type of security, whether it's unarmed, store security, fire watch, all the way up to executive protection. Yeah, it's doing
So
pretty
you do
good.
ones you definitely can't talk about that you do executive protection for.
There's quite a few when you have NDAs, and those nobody, yeah. Those are very, you want to make sure you never lose that trust. And so that happens.
When you hire people to do your executive protection, what kind of people are you looking for that end up taking on those jobs?
It depends. We get resumes sent to us. We also get recommendations, or we've worked with people in the past. You know, you kind of keep your roster going. And depending on who the client is, you kind of know who's going to be the best feel for it. You know, who's got the best feel for it and who's going to fit that specific job.
Hmm.
You only know by doing it. You grow in it by doing it.
Are they a lot of law enforcement for sure?
We have
Or
ex law enforcement. We do have some that are still working a little bit that want to pick up extra money that do some jobs for us. Yeah, veterans, love veterans, love to be able to give them work when I can, for sure.
And so you're in this man's world, inspiring
Hmm.
women
Hmm.
to take on these leadership roles. And like nothing's off the table, right?
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't raised like that. I was raised by a retired first sergeant in the military who had 5 girls. So, you know, he taught me what he didn't know anything about girls. My mom was an alcoholic, and I would say I learned some stuff from her, but I would say the majority of understanding and being an entrepreneur and realizing that you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it was definitely from my father. So he did, I think, a pretty good job on teaching me that I'm able, but also taught me how to think and understand men. I think sometimes if more fathers took the time to say, "Hey, I can't tell you what goes on in the brain of a woman, but I can tell you what goes on in the brain of a man," so you can understand a little bit of how we're not built the same. We don't understand the same. We don't handle things the same. It goes back to men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Women are emotional thinkers. That's how we're filled. And I believe we were created to be the nurturers. That's why we have, children. We give birth. Men were created to be logical thinkers so they could go hunt, bring back,
Hunt.
and
That's
and
right. They're hunt.
provide for their family.
Hmm.
And so, learning that and understanding that, but also knowing that we're built different. Nobody's superior over the other. We just function differently. And I'm just as knowledgeable and I'm just as smart and I can do just as much as a man does. But I also am not a feminist to say that there's things that there's nothing I can't do because I wouldn't put myself in situations to prove that I'm able when common sense says that maybe I should have a 220-pound Marine doing the job when it comes to certain things for security. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. That's not what I was created for.
Wisdom.
I'm going to do the logistics and then I'm going to send him out.
That's
That's
just called
just smart.
wisdom.
That's just smart business.
Yeah, I
Yep.
get it.
Mm.
A girl's got to know her limitations.
So, where who do you serve primarily? Like, how do people find you in ways?
We have
Not like
we
the
have
website, yeah,
yeah.
but more like where do they find you a lot of times?
Most of the times it's on the website, or we get calls randomly from people that'd be like, "Oh, I was recommended to you." So again, being in the industry, doing a good job, being dependable, showing that you're capable of doing it, people recommend you. So a lot of it's, being recommended, or they can find us on the internet.
All right, well, fantastic. Anything else, Sherry?
What's your website? They can find you.
So the For Rescue Foundation is the number 4 rescuefoundation.org, and our website for EPI security is episecurityguards.com, and that's with sorry, one second, I'm trying to pull this number up. My phone number. I'm horrible about remembering things. So it's episecurityguards.com, and that's with an S. And then if anybody needs to contact us, they can call us at 888-885-6438.
All right. Well, fantastic. A great conversation today. Thank you, Sondae. And go to storehousemediagroup.com for all things marketing and media and publishing. Appreciate it, guys. That was the special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Storehouse Media Group podcast, guys.